been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
What's going on? I'm Arch Manning, Viore athlete and college quarterback. Whether I'm running, training, traveling, or just unwinding at home, I love doing it in my core shorts from Viore. With a breathable boxer brief liner, they're quick to dry, super versatile, and stand up to even my most intense training sessions. Plus, they come in 3 inseams and a ton of colors. Ready to try a pair? Go to viore.com/arch and get 20% off at checkout. I think you're going to love them as much as I do. That's viore.com/ARCH and get 20% off your first order. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Have a great day.
Imagine walking into a high-stakes, life-altering exam. You assume the security is airtight, but it turns out the very experts hired to guard the test are the ones smuggling the answers out on scraps of rough paper. Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah, we really have a massive stack of reporting to get through today.
We do. Today is Friday, August 7, 2026. And our mission today is to uncover a running theme across all our sources, like what happens when the systems we trust just start to fracture under pressure.
Right, from exam boards to international payment networks. It's a heavy board today.
Yeah, today we are unpacking a diplomatic tightrope in South Asia, tracing the literal paper trail of a massive exam leak, and looking at how international pressure might soon change the way you pay for your groceries.
When you lay all these sources out side by side, you get a fascinating look at how deeply connected the mechanics of governance, infrastructure, and global trade really are.
Absolutely. And I want to jump right into the geopolitical tension because this first story is incredibly delicate. I was reading a piece from The Hindu this morning regarding former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and India is drawing a very hard line in the sand.
I mean, they absolutely had to. According to The Hindu, the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson, Randhir Jaiswal, had to publicly clarify that India does not endorse comments Hasina made during a virtual press conference on August 5th.
Which is a highly sensitive date, right? That's the second anniversary of the July Revolution that removed her from power.
Exactly. And the mechanics of how this presser happened are what really caused the diplomatic headache. It was organized by a private media entity at the Foreign Correspondents Club.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and during this event, Hasina heavily criticized the current Bangladesh Nationalist Party government.
The one led by Prime Minister Tariq Rahman.
Right. She claimed they came to power through staged elections and alleged that false cases are actively being filed against members of her Awami League.
But wait, if this was organized by a private media group, why did the Indian government need to issue a formal rebuttal?
Because of how it was perceived in Dhaka. The Bangladesh Ministry of Foreign Affairs was outraged. You have to look at the leverage here. They called her interaction on Indian soil a direct affront to their sovereignty.
Wow.
Yeah. Even their home minister publicly questioned why India allowed the event to happen at all. Jaiswal had to step in and make it undeniably clear that the Indian government had zero role in the event.
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
This episode is brought to you by Claude by Anthropic. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. It's the collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you. Whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move, Claude extends your thinking to tackle the problems that matter and finds connections you might have missed. For problems worth solving, get started at claude.ai/Spotify.
That really exposes the tension of this transition. It forces you to ask, how exactly does a host country draw the line between providing refuge, and allowing a platform for political interference.
It's a huge liability.
It really is.
Yeah.
Every microphone in the room instantly becomes a geopolitical liability.
Yeah, and managing that friction requires perfect diplomatic infrastructure.
Yeah.
Which is, hard to maintain when you're under intense pressure.
Well, speaking of infrastructure buckling under pressure, that brings us to a very literal collapse. If you are sitting in traffic anywhere in the capital right now, you know exactly what this failure looks like.
Oh, it has been a total nightmare for commuters. As reported by NDTV, heavy rain has completely paralyzed transport and daily life across Delhi NCR.
Yeah, the India Meteorological Department had to issue a red alert that lasted late into yesterday evening. The visuals are staggering, but I want to understand the why behind this. Cities experience heavy rain all the time, right? Why did the entire grid lock up this severely?
Well, NDTV notes that the IMD attributed this to a rare combination of multiple weather systems active over northern India simultaneously.
Okay, so it was unusually heavy.
Yeah, but the weather is only half the equation. The other half is the drainage infrastructure. The report highlighted severe congestion on major arteries because the water simply had nowhere to go.
Oh, right, like the Morali-Badarpur Road?
Exactly. We are talking about critical bottlenecks on the Noida-Greater Noida Expressway and Rohtak Road. You literally couldn't even book a cab.
It feels like the city's drainage infrastructure is essentially a patched-up tire. It might hold air just fine during a standard everyday drive, but the moment you put it under the intense pressure of a rare multi-weather system combination,
it inevitably bursts. That is an incredibly accurate way to look at it, and the human toll goes way beyond just being late for work.
Yeah, for sure.
NDTV highlighted e-rickshaw drivers in East Delhi areas, like Shikarpur and Mandawali. These drivers are dealing with completely submerged potholes.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is. There were reports of vehicles just overturning in the middle of the day because the drivers literally couldn't see the massive hazards hidden beneath the floodwaters.
Infrastructure failure is one thing, but when governance structures buckle under pressure, the fallout is much deadlier. I want to look at the unrest happening in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir right now.
This is a rapidly escalating situation. According to the Times of India, the U.S. State Department has taken the unusual step of publicly calling for Pakistan to exercise restraint amid an ongoing crackdown in the region.
The fatality numbers being reported here are wildly contradictory, though. What has actually happened on the ground?
You have two completely opposed narratives. The banned Joint Awami Action Committee, the JAC, which has been leading these protests since June, claims that 400 protesters have been killed.
400?
Yes. But on the other side, you have Shehbaz Sharif's advisor, Rana Sanawalla, who calls that figure overly exaggerated. He insists the death toll is strictly in the double digits and notes that security personnel are among the casualties.
I am trying to understand the root cause of this violence. Like, what triggered this specific wave of protests?
It comes down to the mechanics of the electoral process, specifically the dispute over the 12 refugee seats in the Poke Legislative Assembly. Protesters are alleging that the establishment manipulates these very specific seats to install their preferred prime minister.
Oh, I see.
You add in allegations against the PMLN for rigging the first two phases of the polls, and it creates a massive deficit of trust. The unrest got so severe that authorities actually had to postpone voting in 7 constituencies for the third phase.
This raises a fascinating diplomatic question. What does it mean for global relations when the United States feels compelled to publicly urge a strategic ally to follow its own constitution and ensure free elections?
It is a very visible rebuke.
It really is.
It's a clear signal that the internal instability is creating external anxiety. And interestingly, you see domestic legislative anxiety brewing right here in New Delhi as well.
Yes. I want to unpack this parliamentary protest. Reporting by The Hindu notes that opposition parties are demanding the withdrawal of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill 2026. Or, at the very least, they want it sent to a joint parliamentary committee.
Congress leaders Jairam Ramesh and K.C. Venugopal are threatening complete disruptions in Parliament over this.
Hold on. I admit I am confused by their strategy here. The Hindu mentioned...
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
They want Home Minister Amit Shah to address alleged police brutality against student protesters at Jantar Mantar before they will discuss the bill. Why tie a financial regulatory bill to a completely unrelated student protest?
It is purely about political leverage. They are using the threat of halting a major piece of government legislation to force a conversation on an issue the government might otherwise ignore.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But if we dive into the actual mechanics of the FCRA bill, the fear from civil society is very real. DMK MPP Wilson submitted a memorandum arguing that this legislation shifts the FCRA framework from being regulatory to actively confiscatory.
Confiscatory meaning what? The government can just seize the assets without a trial? How does that work?
Under the proposed amendments, if an NGO's license lapses, is canceled, or surrendered, the government could seize assets created from foreign contributions without any prior hearing or judicial review.
That's drastic.
Yeah, we were talking about taking over hospitals, schools, and care homes. Wilson points out that these could be sold or transferred to government departments, and the institutions wouldn't even have the right to reclaim them if they later re-registered.
Let me frame it like this. Imagine a landlord changing the locks on a tenant and keeping all their furniture, their computers, their entire business inventory just because the lease renewal paperwork was a few days late.
Right.
That is an astonishing level of vulnerability for any organization relying on international funding.
It completely changes the risk profile for civil society.
Yeah.
It all comes back to a fundamental breakdown in trust between the state and these organizations.
Speaking of a breakdown in trust, I want to pivot to a story that absolutely shattered my faith in our examination system. I was looking at the CBI charge sheet detailed in the Hindu regarding the NEET-UG 2026 leak.
Oh, this one is wild. Given the immense stakes of this medical entrance exam, the details the CBI uncovered are almost hard to believe.
That is the most jarring part. You assume an exam determining the future of hundreds of thousands of students would be compromised by some sophisticated cyber attack. But the mechanics were entirely low-tech.
Completely analog. According to the Hindu, the CBI pointed the finger directly at subject experts hired by the National Testing Agency itself.
The people who are supposed to protect it.
Precisely. These were the people entrusted to secure the exam. The charge sheet alleges they simply memorized the questions, or wrote them down on small chits of paper using rough sheets provided inside the confidential section.
Like Manisha Havildar for physics, Manisha Manhair for biology, and P.V. Kulkarni for chemistry. But how did they get those scraps of paper out of a secure facility?
Because they weren't being frisked when leaving the premises. They literally just walked out the front door with the answers in their pockets.
You're kidding!
No. From there, the questions were passed through intermediaries and spread digitally via Telegram and WhatsApp.
The irony of the digital spread is almost painful. The CBI found that one of the WhatsApp groups used to distribute these stolen answers was named FIFA World Cup 2026.
Wow.
Yeah. If the very experts hired to guard the exam are the ones walking out with the answers on scrap paper, how can this system ever rebuild trust with the students taking it?
It is a devastating blow. And that concept of internal trust brings us right back to the international scrutiny of India's internal affairs. We discussed the FCRA bill earlier. As reported by The Wire, that exact bill has triggered a new diplomatic spat.
Right. U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern took to social media to criticize the amendment, warning that it severely threatens civil society and democratic freedoms. And the Ministry of External Affairs did not hold back in their response.
They issued a very swift rebuttal. The MEA firmly stated that domestic legislative processes are sovereign functions and are completely off limits for foreign commentary.
You have to view this through the lens of long-standing U.S.-India friction over NGO funding. The irony here is thick. India deeply values the strategic global partnership with the U.S. But the moment the U.S. comments on domestic oversight, India draws an absolute unyielding red line.
They are essentially communicating, we will share intelligence and trade with you globally, but do not look over our shoulder locally.
Yeah, exactly. The international community might be watching the legislation, but on the ground, local civil society is already taking action. Let's look at what is happening in Ranchi. According to the Hindu, talks between the Jharkhand government and protesting students have ended without any agreement.
These students have been demonstrating for 14 days straight. A 10-member student delegation sat down for a 2-hour meeting with a 5-member ministerial committee at the Morabadi State Guest House, and they hit a complete deadlock.
Chief Minister Hemant Soren had promised concrete solutions and comprehensive reforms. Why isn't a state-level promise enough to end the protests?
because the students are demanding a CBI probe into alleged leaks in the JPSC and JSSC competitive exams. When your core grievance is that the state's own examination boards are compromised, an internal state investigation feels like a massive conflict of interest.
Right, they don't trust the people investigating themselves.
Exactly. They have completely lost faith in the state machinery, which is why they are refusing to back down without an independent federal inquiry.
And further details from the Hindu reveal the intense physical toll this is taking on the protesters. Protesters Rahul Kranti and Braj Kishore had to be hospitalized after a hunger strike. Tensions are escalating fast.
That's getting dangerous.
There was an ink attack on the All India Students Association president, Neha Bora, near the Jharkhand assembly by a man calling her anti-national.
Her response to that attack is deeply revealing about the mechanics of modern protests. She explicitly pointed out that she wasn't intimidated because she has faced pellet guns and tear gas during protests in Delhi.
That is a critical detail. You are seeing...
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
Localized state exam protests pulling in highly experienced national-level student leaders. They bring an organizational framework and resilience forged in much larger demonstrations.
It hardens the activist base. It turns a localized grievance into a highly disciplined, entrenched standoff.
That hardening of positions isn't just happening on the streets. You see the exact same rigid standoff at our international borders. Reporting from the Hindu outlines that India and China recently held the 36th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination, or WMCC, in New Delhi.
This is the primary diplomatic mechanism they use to try and manage the line of actual control. The meeting was led by Sujit Ghosh for India and Hu Yanqi for China. The MEA noted they engaged in frank discussions on boundary delimitation, transborder rivers, and sharing upstream technical data.
Whenever I read diplomatic readouts, the phrase frank discussions always stands out. In diplomatic speak, frank usually means they clashed heavily but managed not to walk out of the room.
Precisely. And the underlying clash hasn't shifted since the 2020 standoff. The mechanics of their demands are completely incompatible.
How so?
Well, India's position is that absolute peace and tranquility on the border is a prerequisite for any broader bilateral progress. China consistently asks for the right strategic perception.
Right, strategic perception.
Yeah, which is their way of saying they want to compartmentalize the border dispute and move forward with trade and cooperation regardless.
That is a massive unresolved gap. It is fascinating how long standoffs can last. Border disputes drag on for years. But sometimes a long-term standoff isn't geographical. It's deeply personal, and it can completely reshape a person's trajectory.
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
This episode is brought to you by Claude by Anthropic. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. It's the collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you. Whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move, Claude extends your thinking to tackle the problems that matter and finds connections you might have missed. For problems worth solving, get started at claude.ai/Spotify.
You were talking about the Ravichandran Ashwin story. According to the Times of India, Ashwin recently opened up about a years-long rift with commentator Sanjay Mantrekar.
I love this piece because it is such a rare look into the psychology of elite athletes. Ashwin revealed on Jio Hotstar's Cheeky Singles that early in his career, Mantrekar wrote an article heavily criticizing his fitness in Australia.
Yeah, suggesting it ruined his bowling.
Right, and Ashwin was furious. He completely cut Mantrekar off.
But the mechanism of his reaction is what matters here. Instead of letting it break his confidence, he used that anger to fuel a highly disciplined 4-year fitness transformation. And the best part is the resolution. In 2015, when Mandraka wrote another article praising his vastly improved bowling, Ashwin actually messaged him to say thank you.
Public sports commentary acts as this incredibly harsh crucible. For some athletes, that level of public dissection melts them down completely, but for others, like Ashwin, it is the exact fire needed to forge a historic 765-wicket career.
Ashwin used external pressure to build himself up. On a geopolitical level, nations do the exact same thing when they feel vulnerable. As noted by the Hindu, a massive new trilateral defense agreement was just signed in Islamabad on August 7th.
Right, bringing together Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. This focuses on joint military exercises, aerospace ventures, and intelligence sharing, spearheaded by figures like Pakistan's Khawaja Mohammad Asif. But I want to push on the regional implications here. Why this specific trio?
It is a brilliant example of strategic diversification. For Pakistan, this allows them to tap into Turkey's booming defense industry, particularly their highly effective drone technology, without relying solely on traditional superpowers.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
And for Saudi Arabia, this perfectly aligns with their rapidly expanding defense diplomacy. They want to be a central security anchor in the region.
Building those new alliances is crucial, especially when traditional superpowers start using the global economy as a weapon. According to India Today, the U.S. Senate just advanced a massive sanctions bill by an 86-11 vote targeting top Russian oil buyers.
Yeah, the Lindsey Graham Sanctioning Russia and Iran Act of 2026. The core threat of this bill is unprecedented. It grants President Trump the authority to slap 100% tariffs on goods from nations buying Russian petroleum, and the bill explicitly identifies India and China among those top targets.
Wait, the U.S. Senate wants to slap 100% tariffs on India and China. At the same time, how does that even work practically?
It's a huge gamble.
You have a massive clash of priorities here. The U.S. lawmakers want to choke off Moscow's war funding, but India insists its purchases of discounted Russian oil are purely about national energy security.
Exactly. India views it as an economic necessity, not a political endorsement. You really have to question if Washington can realistically afford to trigger a simultaneous massive trade war with both India and China just to isolate Russia.
Yeah, implementing those tariffs would shatter global supply chains.
Completely.
That U.S. pressure isn't just about massive oil shipments, though. It is aggressively targeting the digital infrastructure you probably used this morning to buy a cup of coffee.
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
Coffee. A report by The Wire details a new Lok Sabha bill amending the Payment and Settlement Systems Act.
This bill gives the government the legal authority to end the zero MDR rule for UPI. While it doesn't impose fees immediately, they're reportedly considering models like charging a merchant discount rate on transactions over 2,000 rupees, or specifically targeting high-turnover merchants.
We have to unpack the lobbying happening behind the scenes here. The U.S. Trade Representative has been highly critical of India's payment policies. American financial giants like Visa and MasterCard are bleeding potential revenue because Indian consumers naturally prefer a free, seamless public system like UPI.
It is entirely a market share issue. And there is a global precedent for this exact tactic. The U.S. recently slapped a 25% tariff on Brazil because Brazil defended its own domestic free payment system, PIX.
That is wild. You can frame UPI as a wildly successful, beautifully paved public highway that anyone can drive on for free. Right now, foreign toll booth operators are standing on the sidelines, watching millions of cars go by, and aggressively lessying the government to let them privatize the road and start collecting fees.
Which fundamentally changes the entire philosophy of what UPI was built to achieve.
It really does. And as digital infrastructure becomes the new battleground for global trade wars, you have to wonder if the convenience of zero-fee payments is eventually sacrificed to appease foreign markets. Are we building technology for the public good or just creating a new monopoly waiting to be taxed?
That is exactly the kind of question we need to be asking as these systems evolve. Thank you for taking the time to explore these sources with us today.
We'll be back soon to unpack the next layer of the stories shaping our world. Take care and keep looking beneath the surface.